Okay, today we're going to start Chapter 2. Chapter 2 begins with solving equations. We actually are going to start with Lesson 2.2. 2.1, I have one slide just to show solving one-step equations. We're going to start right away by solving two-step equations. So, our first equation right here, negative 7 equals b minus 3. What you can do is always put a line through the equal sign, and then when you solve, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other. So b minus 3, to get rid of a minus 3, we add 3. So we have b equals negative 7 plus 3, negative 4. Now you can use a calculator now, but you always have to write the original equation and you have to show your steps of solving. You can do this part with a calculator if you need to. Okay, second one. 6 equals x plus 2. So again, we need to get x by itself. So to get rid of a plus 2, we're going to subtract 2 from each side. Again, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other. 6 minus 2 is 4. So x equals 4. Okay. Next one, negative 8n. Remember, this says negative 8 times n equals negative 64. So undo times by divide each side by negative 8. N equals a negative divided by negative is a positive, and it's 8. Again, remember, you have to show all of this work on your paper. Okay, last one. Negative 39 equals q divided by 3. So again, to get rid of a divide, opposite of divide is times. So undo a divide by 3 by times each side by 3. Again, what we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other. A divide by 3 and the times 3 cross out, so we're left with q on this side. And then we take 3 times negative 39. 3 times negative 39 is a negative 117. Again, you can use a calculator, but you have to show all of this work. So any problems like we have on our assignment like this is what's expected for your paper. Okay, now one more one-step equation that deals with a fraction. So this says 3/4 times x equals 9. And we learned this last chapter that we don't divide fractions. We don't divide by 3/4. Dividing by 3/4 is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So what we are going to do is undo this fraction by timesing each side by 4/3. Remember, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do the exact same thing to the other. Okay? So what happens with this one is the 3's cross out, a times 3 and a divide by 3, times 4 and divide by 4 cross out, we're just left with x equals, here we're multiplying fractions. 3 goes into 9 3 times, so we just have 3 times 4, so x equals 12 for our answer. Okay, now all of those problems are going to be within our two-step equations today. So the first two-step equation is right here. All right, so it says 2x plus 3 equals 15. So again, on your assignment, you have to write this original equation down. Now we're going to solve it. We need to isolate x, so the first thing we have to get rid of is a plus 3. Opposite of a plus 3 is a minus 3. So plus 3 minus 3 cross out, so we're left with 2x equals 15 minus 3, 12. Now we have to get rid of a 2 times. So undo times by divide. So again, we divide both sides by 2. So x equals 6. Again, this is all of the work that's expected on your paper. Next one, 5 equals t over 2 minus 3. So our variable is attached to a divide by 2. So again, that's what we need to isolate by itself first. So we have to get rid of this minus 3. Opposite of a minus 3 is a plus 3. 5 plus 3 is 8 equals, and then we have t divided by 2. So now to get our variable t by itself, just like we did on one of the first pages, undo divide by times. Times each side by 2. 2 times 8 is 16. So t equals 16. Again, all of this work needs to be on your paper. Okay, next one, a word problem. You have 2 or 3 word problems on your assignment. It says you are making a bulletin board to advertise community service opportunities in your town. You plan to use half a sheet of construction paper for each ad. So half a sheet of construction paper for each ad. That's important. You need 5 sheets of construction paper for the banner. So you need 5 sheets for a title banner. You have 18 sheets of construction paper altogether. How many ads can you make? Whenever you do a word problem, always read the question a second time. The question will tell you what your variable needs to be. So how many ads can you make? So we pick a letter for a variable like x. X equals the number of ads. Okay, so now we need to try to write an equation. We use the given information, so we know it has to equal, we have a total of 18 sheets. So within that bulletin board, it says we're going to use half a sheet of construction paper for each ad. So 1/2 sheet for every ad we have, and we don't know how many, so we're going to use our variable, x. It says we also have to make a title banner that takes up 5 of the sheets, so plus those 5 sheets. So here is our equation. So now again, anytime you solve an equation, you can put a line through that equal sign, and now we need to isolate x. So notice, to get this by itself, you have to get rid of a plus 5. So we're going to subtract 5 from each side. So now we have 1/2 x equals 13. And then to undo a fraction, we multiply by its reciprocal. So this one, the reciprocal is 2/1. What we do to one side, you have to go do the exact same thing to the other. So the 2's cross out, we're left with x equals, and this is just 13 times 2, 26. And if we want to put a label, 26 ads. Okay, next one starts looking like a fraction, x minus 7 over 3 equals negative 12. So again, we know anytime you have a fraction, fractions represent division. So to undo this divide by 3, we're going to times both sides by 3. Now when you times this by 3, a times 3 and a divide by 3 cross out, and we're just left with x minus 7 equals negative 12 times 3, negative 36. And now the last thing we have to do is to get rid of that minus 7. So we're going to add 7 to each side. Again, you can use your calculator for the addition, subtraction, multiply, and divide, but you have to show all of this on your paper. So negative 36 plus 7 is a negative 29. Again, all of this work on your paper. Okay, one more like that. 6 equals x minus 2 over 4. So just like the last one, we need to get rid of this division, this fraction bar. So undo a divide by 4 by timesing both sides by 4. What you do to one side of this equal sign, you have to do the exact same thing to the other. We have to create balance. 24 equals x minus 2, and then undo a minus 2 by adding 2 to each side. So 26 equals x. When you show your work, you should be showing your work down your paper, just like this. Okay, there's 2 more problems I'd like to go through. So first one, 5 minus 2/3 x equals 17. So again, here's our variable. So we want to get this variable by itself. So the first thing we have to move is this 5. Opposite of a positive is a negative, so we're going to subtract 5 from each side. Make sure you bring this sign down, negative 2/3 x equals 17 minus 5 is 12. So now we have to get rid of a fraction. This says negative 2/3 times x. So to undo times, we usually divide. But with fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply both sides by that reciprocal. So when we do this, a negative times a negative is a positive. The 2's cross out, the 3's cross out. We're just left with x equals. Over here we have a fraction. Fraction times a fraction, 2 goes into 12 6 times. So we just have 6 times negative 3, a negative 18. And the last problem involves decimals. So again, when we solve an equation with decimals, you don't have to worry about lining up the dot, doing anything like that. You can use a calculator, but you have to show your steps and how you're solving. So here's our equation. So here's our variable m. So we need to get rid of this negative 3.8. Opposite of a negative is a positive. So we have to add 3.8 to both sides. So again, to do this, 2.3 m equals, to do this 15.98 plus 3.8, you can use a calculator. That equals 19.78. So if you'd use a calculator to add that, you should get 19.78. Then, to undo a times, we're going to divide. Again, use your calculator. This is what I want to see for showing your work. You don't have to do the long division, the long multiplication. I just want to see how you're solving each equation. M equals a 19.78 divided by 2.3 with your calculator should equal 8.6. And that is our final answer. Here's your assignment for today. This will be due Monday. We'll check through it. So it goes through pages 91 to 93, numbers 1 through 5, all of them. 12 through 28, the evens in that section, and then 32, 38, 40, 46, and 60. So a few reminders. How is write the original equation? Okay, write the original equation all the time. And make sure you show how you solve the equations. Right, you have to show how you solve your equations. So that means show your work. Make sure you show your work. Good luck on your assignment. I hope everyone has a nice weekend. We'll see you on Monday.